There you have the ban phase. Wildcard wanted to get rid of that clash. We've seen several players from Knights really do some damage on that. The one operator that has slipped through, though, is Valkyrie, Wildcard's most banned operator by far. And particularly on this map, we see both teams have banned Valkyrie in the past, so I expect Hayward will make good use of those cameras. Ooh, but on the other side, maybe we're going to see the 6-pick onto the IQ. Oh, okay, IQ picked to counter the Valk. Is that Nook going to come through, I wonder, for Vincere?
Yeah, he looked pretty indecisive, flicking between the Nook and the Finker, and there it is. He's going to 6 actually onto the Finker, Dev. Hasn't locked it in, still a little bit of time here, but that Valkyrie is going to remain. And look, it is a great point. Valkyrie has certainly risen to be a frustrating operator to deal with. Some of those cameras in positions where not necessarily obvious, you have to dedicate time to actually look for them. If you don't bring the IQ in particular, if you don't look for them, obviously you're not going to get spotted, and they can really feed just such strong intel to the rest of the defense to really, influence the way a round can play out.
In Stage 1, these teams went head-to-head on Oregon. 8-7 was the result in favor of the Knights. A very tight game and one of Wildcard's precious points that they managed to pick up from that match as well. And in Stage 1, believe it or not, Wildcard actually took down Knights on this very map, Villa, 7-4. And I think that was one of the best showings we've seen from them. And of course, you can't even say that Knights didn't have anything to fight for. They were fighting for that #1 spot in the league. So we know that Wildcard has what it takes here. And I'm loving the Finker pick right out of the gate. We already touched on it briefly. A little bit of a buff coming through for her, seeing those frag grenades. I'm curious to see whether this Operation Chimera Storm that we have from Wildcard will bear any fruit.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see. And look, I do love the Finker pick as well. I'm really keen to see how it changes the tides here. Obviously, like you said, the frag grenades is probably a massive impact there, and that's what they've gone for. So I do hope it does have some kind of impact, but yeah, we'll wait and see how it progresses.
Got the call from producer. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go for a rehearsed. I believe we've had some kind of issue with the HUD bug that's come through. That's all right. What you're seeing right coming on in from formerly of the Rogue guys as coach, sitting behind these guys, figuratively, of course, hailing in all the way from Finland. So, I do wonder. We're always wondering, really, like, when is this going to change? Like, come on, Wildcard have all the ingredients. They just, for some reason, can't cook up a meal.
Yeah, that is totally it. They just need that pinch of salt there if they're waiting for it. And
it's like they don't have the method. They when you open up a recipe and you're looking for how to cook the, whatever it is, chicken roast, whatever, and instead they just tell you your life story. Like this, the recipe just starts with, yes, so one day I was out on the East Coast and I saw a lone chicken, and that inspired. No, don't tell me your life story. We just need to get to it. Wildcard need the method to finally get some things going.
That was a banging analogy, I'll tell you what. But yes, we will see whether that is going to happen this stage, and they've got a really massive opportunity here because, as you were prefacing before as well, Knights really are considered one of, if not the best team in not just Oceanic Siege, but APAC South. So to get a big win against the Knights for Playday 1 in Stage 3, that really would be the start to that method for Wildcard to be authoring here.
Well, let's see how they go on the roam clear. An extension from the Knights. Some hard breach used to try and penetrate that stat room. A lot of barricades, a lot of utils set up, no mute jammers or any form of wall denial placed on that wall. So that does enable the Hibana to breach on through.
Yeah, it's also really pushed Knights off nice and early. You see Dino and Sage both dropping back to site super quick. They are not intending to really contend that for their lives, but Hayward's still below, looming with a C4 on the Valkyrie. And he's got cameras here for info, so it looks like he's going to try and make an impact early with this vertical play on the C4.
Oh, and he may well just get it. What info's he got? Josh is on cams for him right now. Maybe we can see his POV. Just waiting at landing. Spots out a drone as well. So Josh doesn't have a lot of info deep into stat. It's mostly just at heads and tails.
Just heard a camera get shot as well. I'm pretty sure that was that black eye. So looks like Knights haven't been able to capitalize just yet, but that will always be a dangerous position here for Hayward. The Knights can certainly get a lot of that info nice and quickly, but to flip it again, Wildcard, they've made some really good progress here. They've cleared across from the bedroom side. They're starting to push towards 90. Gio ready to really take this to himself. So now there's one really last step for Wildcard. They need to start to really penetrate towards site and displace these on-site positions. Find that opening pick.
There goes the adrenal surge from Thinker as well. We can see the Wildcard players with that HP boost. Hayward's on for a flank. Someone is lurking down in Piano. It is Milo looking to clear some util from below. The E1D to lock Hayward in place, but he has the perfect flank. Is anybody watching for it? No! Gio taken down, and Hayward still runs rampant on the red stairs, rotates back down. C4 still in the pocket, catches a drone, but Pat finds the entry for Wildcard. And the E1D enables Emo to get nice and close. Vinny's going straight in. He can find the opener that they needed. The double for Vinny. The finish off with the Gon 6. Hayward with it all to do. But Vinny and Emo are caught between a rock and a hard place. Juicy can find one before he's traded. No time on the clock for Emo Rin. And Knights, just in the 1v1, can clinch the first round.
Hayward really did open that one up for the Knights, and it was a decent attack from Wildcard. They really did have a chance to close that round out, but again, that flank from Hayward, it was devastating. He ended up getting 2, maybe 3 from it, kind of missed it towards the end, but it certainly had that impact, and it really split the way that Wildcard were trying to structure that execute. So it was a really great job, and also a great job from the Knights players on site. They kind of really withstood a bit of an onslaught there in that last 10 seconds, and it really enabled Hayward to still hard play that red stairs position, because if those on-site players collapsed, obviously Wildcard would have had more man advantage, they would have had the bodies on site, and then Hayward would have been in a retake situation. So yeah, overall, really good end to that round for the Knights.
Attackers need to locate and defuse.
Bit of optimism here for the Knights boys. Already mentioned that in stage 1, despite having Silex on the roster, the coach subbing in, or the manager subbing in even, Wildcard did manage to take down Knights on this very map. We've seen some pretty shaky results, in fact, from Knights on this map. I don't even want to talk about that atrocity 7-1 that these guys were spanked by order in OCN. But even if you look further back, in APAC South Stage 2, Chiefs took down Knights 7-5. And while Knights had a decisive win over Fnatic in the APAC playoffs after Stage 1, we haven't really seen a decisive win for them ever since.
That's true, and something that can be a little bit always tricky to gauge with Knights is sometimes it feels like they go through these peaks and troughs of form, and you never really feel like maybe they're on the edge of slipping, but then they'll just bring it back. Just somewhere they will tighten up and they'll start to have some really strong performances. So I think that's another opportunity here again for Wildcard, where if they can really rein it in, they could maybe catch the Knights here with their little classic shaky starts to a stage.
Oh, hello. Hayward not droned out, perhaps. Does catch off Emo. I wonder what was happening there in the comms for Wildcard. An aggressive play for Emo doesn't work. Gio's looking for a refrag. Where has Hayward managed to get himself? He's managed to get himself a refrag back. Gio shuts him down, and Wildcard do equalize.
Yeah, good to get that refrag. Wasn't too sure on that entry. I actually think Emo did get droned in, just don't think he really entered the way that he would have liked to. But either way, yes, good refrag. First minute down. And, oh, Dino so close to seeing the feet of Vinny, and oh, he's actually captured by Vinny. That's a great shot to take him out, and that's going to give Wildcard a nice little advantage in half of the round.
4v3 now as they start to approach the master bedroom balcony. Should be fairly cut and dried for Wildcard, except for the fact that there's a lot of utility to still deal with. They would love to get a breach on this main triple wall, but you've got 2 electric claws defending it. A lot of mute jammers around. Oh, great eye there from Milo down in kitchen, dining from below, shoots that claw through the floor. Now Pat can get to work.
Yeah, again, this attack's actually looking fairly good here from Wildcard. Some really good positive signs. If you are a Wildcard fan, it feels like they have really brought things together a little bit since Stage 2. Of course, still a lot to play here, but they are set up in a really great position. Now, Sage is trying to hold Astro by himself here. He's fairly pinched. Geo is on the window. Milo looks like he's keen to kind of push up these stairs, and Vinny pushing through bathroom. So there's a very, very solid pinch onto this position.
Oh, that nade caught out. Second nade to go through. Unsure if the player is still behind that shield. Does dismantle it through the smoke. Sage says goodnight. Milo looking for that refrag, and he gets it somehow. Barely, but traded directly on back, at least for now. The gas does finish him off. 20 seconds remain, and Pack goes in. It's him and Geo versus Juicy, and Juicy's got the perfect positioning. Double on for the round. Geo to clutch. Low HP. Juicy to find. He has the diffuser, planting it now. And Juicy's got to make this work. He has time on his side. The pre-fire is just enough, just what he needs for the captain of Knights to clean up.
Big from the Don, Juicy. He's got 2 3Ks in a row here for the Knights. He's having a great start to this game. But again, Wildcard very close. That attack really could have gone in their favor. Just a couple of gunfights really not going their way, and that's just how it be sometimes. But this is feeling like a really good contest here, Dev. You know, just at any point, again, Wildcard feel like they can just lock in a couple of these rounds and we'll be tight.
Very much so. It's 2 1v1s in a row. As you said, 2 huge 3Ks from Juicy, the Don himself. Off the staple smoke now and onto the Valkyrie. I wonder whether he's to stick that, perhaps expecting that Dining is going to be a little bit more of a flexible defense, a little bit more mobile, and shuffling of the operators around for them. I like the Legion pick here as well. Trying to hold as much map control as possible on this Dining bomb site, and as Gumines can assist.
Definitely can, but look, I like this from Knights too. You know, they've been able to get these 2 rounds in a row and continue to move through all 3 of these viable bomb sites. I wonder if we'll start to see some more living room played. I mean, nothing has really changed on Villa, and sometimes, you know, new season, certain meta changes maybe makes it a touch more viable. I don't know, but we've definitely seen some really cool holds in that site. Would be keen to see it, but anyway, it is kitchen dining, and it looks like it's going to be a fairly decent vertical hold here from the Knights. They have continued to hard stick this Valkyrie as well, Dev, so something that we talked about in that op-ban phase that is really coming to fruition.
And still stubbornly no IQ from the Wildcard guys. Gonna have to rely a lot on their drones to find these cans. Pardon me. That one outside could deal some damage as well. Potential runouts, potentially just preparing, getting information on the rotations from WC. And the Wildcard boys looking to take from study across. Quite an ambitious map control take here. Let's see if Emo doesn't fumble on the entry.
Yeah, probably wanting to back it up a bit better than last time. This is a great little cam here from Dino. It's just not going to catch any wildcard players at this point because there's just no one there. But Juicy looking to, not from Dino, I can't believe I just said that. It was from Juicy, Dino viewing it. But no, look, they haven't really caught where the wildcard players are entering from, and it has going to be from this south side across. Doesn't quite look like they are going hard for that master clear right now, so they're not really looking to get that vertical control that you would potentially expect early. And once again, Hayward has found a big entry pick for his team.
3 in a row. And Geo goes down, no impact on the round. He'll have to sit cams. Still this roam uncontested here. Wildcard are trying their best, but Knights retaining so much control. Wildcard looking a little bit lost on how to deal. As Milo starts to waltz up classical, he's going to have a big entry here. He hears that Roni, sprays on through. But that's the call, the tagline for Knights to vacate and fall back. They're still roaming, mind you. It's a dining bomb site. Wildcard are so delayed with their sledge gone as well. It's going to be impossible to get Vert. This is not a good look for WC.
Yeah, this is definitely the least convincing round so far from Wildcard. Even pushing out that roam on the office side still means that the actual vertical control they want and need on the Master is still needing to be contested. So as you said, they really aren't going to be able to clear that out now, and with no sledge, probably much less point to do so, but it doesn't leave them with a whole lot of teeth left in this push. It's really going to be tough for them from this point on.
Should be an easy hold now for Knights, but if Wildcard have anything, it's a last-ditch effort. A desperate attempt to try and make something work. Oh, what an angle for Dino. Can't land anything though. He'll go prone, try and wait, bide his time. He finds the first. Haywood on for the cross. 30 seconds, and there's just no hope here for Wildcard. Knights have it in the bag. Milo finds the first, but he'll have to find the other 4. 20 seconds left as the adrenal surge subsides. There's no hope here for the newest member of Wildcard. It'd have to be a massive clutch, and Josh ain't gonna let it happen. The most decisive round so far falls in Knights' corner.
Definitely decisive. Wildcard just didn't seem to in it from the get-go, and that's just a bit of a shame because it really felt like that they could bring this half back and we would really have a good contest, but now it's starting to get a bit worrisome, right? Like if the Knights manage to win this next round, going back to AVG, all of a sudden they're up 4-0, they're going to have significant advantage going into the second half, and just, I don't know, I don't think that bodes very well for Wildcard. Of course, don't want to write them off at this point. The preceding 2 rounds were fairly decent, so maybe this is their chance. They can win AVG.
Yeah, well, this is an excellent start for Knights, I will say, and they're backing up their Stage 2 performance. The Stage 2 Knights only dropped 2 games during the regular season. In fact, the only team in the league to drop no less, or rather no more than 2 games. And backing that up here with another strong start. Those 2 games they did lose were to Q-Confirm and the Chiefs. So if they can lock this one out, I know that Knights mostly concern themselves with Elevate, Invictus, Q-Confirm. I believe they're the 3 teams that Knights tend to be most afraid of. But that just leaves Wildcard in the column of, well, you've got to beat them, and you can't let any points fall to the wayside in doing so. It's got to be regulation. Knights have put themselves in for a strong start.
Yeah, definitely. That's such a great point too. It's something we always talk about more towards the end of the stage, and that is these strong teams like Knights, they need to lock in these points in regulation when they're expected to win. We've seen it a few times where teams failing to do so, they start to struggle even with playoff contention come end of stage. And that is so critical in APAC South because I need to remind you the way that last stage ended. Invictus Gaming, for example, they were the last team to qualify for playoffs, and in their final game, they were fighting for either playoffs or last place. Like, the fact that that is the gap that we are coming to expect is pretty crazy.
Oh, for the first time, Wildcard finds the opening. Emo gets onto the scoreboard. A good rotation cut by him. Josh, though, waiting with the DMR on the other side. Emo's surely favored in this engagement. Oh, round in the corner. Emo can't land those shots. Josh can get back. This is an Aviator Games bomb site defense for Knights.
It's definitely good to get the opening pick this time around for Wildcard. Hopefully it does help their attack progress a bit quicker, but Haywood, the cheeky fella he is, sitting in that window waiting for Emo Rin. It's a really unfortunate loss there because that Lion certainly is going to help the progress of Wildcard, and now pretty obviously not going to have any impact at all from the sidelines. So Haywood, once again, just proving to be quite the pain for Wildcard to deal with. But Pat's managed to find another one, and that's going to give Wildcard that advantage back.
Haywood is the devil for Wildcard this game, but finally Milo can punish. Excellent work. Haywood has been constantly knocking at the door for Wildcard. Vinny's making a play. He can make it work as well here on the floor as AR-33 in hand. Sage left 1 versus 4. He can get a bit of an opening, but it's just completely collapsed upon from all sides. Geo to polish it off. Wildcard, their first round on the board.
Really good round too. I mean, they steamrolled that. Once they got that 4v3 kind of man advantage situation, they just saw their opportunity and they pounced on it. And that is what you want to see. You want to see a team identifying when they do have that advantage and they're in the position where they can just strike. You know, they're not going to stall out for another minute just procedurally clearing things. Certainly a pattern that we have seen from Wildcard for a long time in the past was that they were just all about the procedure, and then they were never left with much time at the end. I really love that that was how that round ended. It's a good sign for their progression, and finally they got a round on the board.
Yeah, it's a good start, and hey, look, I wouldn't call 3 rounds loss on your attacking side on Villa, a lost cause by any stretch of the imagination. Villa was played quite a few times in Stage 2 of APAC South Division, 3 times, and it was a pretty even Steven 52% defensive win rate, so just slightly more defender-sided than attacker-sided. If Wildcard want their best chance here, obviously they're going to be going for the full 3 rounds of attack in the half, winning these 2, and I wouldn't put it past them, Raven. Like, we've just had a dominant round for Wildcard. Prior to that, a dominant round for Knights. Prior to that, 2 very, very close rounds that ended in 1v1s. Definitely, it's on the cards here, no pun intended, for Wildcard.
Yeah, look, I think it is too. And the other thing I'm starting to see here with the scoreboard, at least, and I mean, I never like deep diving too hard into the scoreboard, but, you know, it's only Juicy and Hayward that have really netted a lot of kills for the Knights. Outside of that, it's not like the others aren't doing their job, but, you know, like, they're the only 2 players really having that scoreboard impact, at least. Whereas if you look on the side of Wildcard, it's been a very even affair. Sometimes that can really dictate the way a game plays out. Certainly not saying that's going to be the case here, but it's a good sign for Wildcard, in this instance, that everyone seems to be having a fairly even showing up right now.
Here's the Flores coming in for Vincere. A lot of good information he's gathering, and on top of that, he can clear some util. My God, he just saw that the entire of Aviator was clear. No util to clear either, so that's just some free info for him. As Knights primarily focus their contest on this stat and master site.
Yeah, really wanting to stick this roam. And look, I think it's great. Like, it's really important on a defensive AVG that you are stalling at your opponents if they're doing this clear across from the north side from Master. You want them to not have much time to really then start to poke at site. You really want to delay on that roam clear. I think it's really good from the Knights that they've continued to stick this. And look at that. Almost half the round has evaporated, and the Knights managed to all stay alive. No damage dealt here. It's, I would say, a bit of a win for the defense in this situation.
I think both teams are probably seeing this as a win right now. Knights happy that they got back scratch-free, but Wildcard sitting there thinking, okay, we've got a lot of map control we can set up for this execute now. Drones below as well. Thing is, Wildcard playing very, very slow, very, very thorough. And that means if Knights can play patiently, Hayward has no patience in his veins whatsoever. He'll shut down Vinny. And that is the 4th round in a row, the 5th round in a row. Hayward has been the first blood for Knights.
Hayward being a bit of a machine here on Playday 1 of Stage 3. He is really showing up for the Knights. It's put them in a great position coming into this last minute. Geo on the hunt, but Hayward has rotated all the way back to the middle of the main stairs there. You can kind of see his outline. He's got support at the top of main stairs as well from Sage. So this is where it gets tough for Wildcard. They sure do have that master bedroom control, but with the way this side is set up, there is a lot of angles in through office without really solid distractions from elsewhere. It's going to be tough for Wildcard to close out this execute.
30 seconds, 4v5. Still hard for Pat to get a breach here on the 90 wall. Milo rings true with that LMG. Does his best. Geo pushing from below the E1D. Calls through. And Emo has to have an impact. There's so many engagements all over the place on this map. And Hayward holds fast with the Deagle. Shut down. And Josh as well in 90 doing some damage. At the end of it, it seems like Knights are on top. And Wildcard have nothing but Pat left remaining. Knights can secure their 4th round of the map.
That was a much better defense than them as well, just in general. You know, they didn't lose that early pick, which they did in round 4. That was a big thing for Wildcard. It's the only round, in fact, that Wildcard have had that opening kill. And that was just, obviously, the forward step that they needed to be able to close out a round. So the Knights denying that from the get-go, again, I think that was really big. As I was saying, with that roam clear, kind of not really working out at all in the first 90 seconds. Sure, Wildcard got that map control, but really without the pick and even the solid info, you saw that they had to kind of re-drone for Hayward, even still below. It was just a significant time delay. And then the Knights just managed to pick them off and ride out that clock. So love that from the Knights. I think that was really well played.
And that does make it 100% conversion as well. The team to find the opening pick has won the round every single round. And as we move back to dining and kitchen defense for Knights, you've got to be optimistic that this could well be a 5-1 half in their favor. This was the most dominant round won by Knights. Wildcard looked completely lost on that roam clear of the top floor. That's why I wonder, are they going to do it again? Are they going to try and push all the way top floor across from study, or eventually to try and clear master, eventually to try and get some vertical pressure onto the side? It just seems like there are far too many steps and links in that chain, and as soon as one link breaks, Wildcard suffer.
Yeah, I don't mind it if they were maybe more confidently nailing these roam clears, but because they've just genuinely struggled. I mean, I'm looking at these opening kill stats here. 4 of 5 opening kills have gone in favor of Hayward on the entries. I think without
look at this.
Comfortably winning that. Oh, they're going to go for a little bit of a rush here, pantry stairs.
Sorry to interrupt your beautiful point, but yeah, it looks like Wildcard making a very sneaky play here. Up the pantry stairs, my God, Dino! You're a monster! The double spray down, he reads it perfectly, watches down through the hatch. Now Milo no longer has the confidence to commit up pantry. Fortunately, there is a frag back. And Emo's going in, traded once again. And it looks like this may be the end of the road for Wildcard. Pat, once again, the last man standing. Sage makes short work of him. Knights, 5-1.
Yeah, that was a bit of a fail. That's really unfortunate. I mean, I don't mind the call from Wildcard here. As we said, you know, Kitchen Dining was the defense round that the Knights managed to win with the most strength. They just looked so good on that defense, and Wildcard, conversely, just didn't look that great at all. They looked lost. So this time around, they just thought, you know what, guys, let's just try be a little bit cheeky. Unfortunate for them, Dino was looking right through the hatch to the stairwell. He got a beautiful little double lineup, and it was just kind of over at that point.
Kind of beautiful, if I'm not lying. I really enjoyed that double spray down from Dino. Great read. Does position Knights so close. One more round, they guarantee at least 1 point through an overtime. And if they can get 2 rounds on their attacking side, then, I mean, that's all she wrote. They will take the full 3-point regulation win. Wildcard are the one taking a tactical pause now, as we see a bit of a curious operator lineup couple we don't see very frequently. The obvious one is the Thunderbird, but even the Tachanka and Echo we don't see all that often. I wonder what they're chatting about right now and what they need to do to lock up some defenses.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things here. One is, you know, Villa 5-1 in favor of the defense isn't all that uncommon. I mean, we did see Villa balance out a lot more in recent history, but certainly when Villa was first implemented into the map pool, it was so common to see this kind of scoreline coming out of a defense half. So I feel like that's not really a strange position to be in if you're somebody like Wildcard. And to your point, this defense lineup is very interesting because, yeah, there are at least 3 operators here that aren't super common, and in particular Thunderbird. This is the first time we're going to see her played in APAC South.
Pretty exciting. I really wonder how she's going to be used in general and whether she's going to be effective. We're seeing quite a bit of spice here from Wildcard. A lot of shields brought to the table. Perhaps trying to fortify those positions with some Kona stations. Those are 3 ADSs placed at top of main stairs. Likely we'll see Pat's shield make its way there as well. Where are the Kona stations going to reside for Vinny?
Yeah, well, I guess there's a few decisions to make there, right? You could put them out on the roam to try and help your roamers, but you have to be careful because if you get cleared out and they're still up, those attackers can go back and use them to their own advantage. So that's always a consideration. There's one on the fallback position of top of main stairs. Don't mind that because you do often lose a bit of HP if you're trying to hard hold that top of main stairs. He's got one down in the vault, and that's one in the games room. So, or aviator, I should say. Yeah, look, they're pretty fairly spread out, but all close to site. I think it's a big thing to factor in with Thunderbird. You really do have to be careful. You don't want to give them in a position that the attackers could utilize.
Knights set up very well, looking at that confidence, taking a 5-1 half. When they played against Wildcard in stage 1 on Villa, they only managed to get 2 defense wins out of 5 attempts. And now they've gone 5-1. It's a hell of a statement to make. Very separated now, but still unwavering. Josh to push up from the pantry stairs with the Jackal. Vinny a little bit of a roam off on the master stat side, but he retreats back, gifting this map control to Knights.
Yeah, and this is something that we talked about with the Knights defense, and that is the solid roam that they were holding and just burning a lot of time. So forfeiting that from Wildcard early, I don't know, this could come back to bite them. The Knights are a fairly explosive, efficient attacking team. So to give them all this map control pretty early, this could be deadly. But hey, this Wildcard strat does look fairly interesting with the lineup, so I'm just keen to see it play out.
Just realized my spreadsheet doesn't have Thunderbird in it. Gotta add that later, but for now, we will keenly watch the Thunderbird player of Vinny. Takes a bit of damage. If he can get to a Kona station, he'll heal himself up. What am I hearing right now? What is that sound? It sounds like a florist drone? Is it a magnet?
I think it's the Kona station, actually.
Oh, of course it is. Well, there you go. Just ticking along. Yeah, there you go.
It sounded like that, you do.
Very, very loud, but what's ringing in my ears at the moment is Knights' resounding progress that they have managed to establish, though I do love the Tachanka usage from Wildcard. As the pre-execute hits, not a lot of time left.
Oh, very tight, but it's definitely going to be favoring Wildcard. They've got some really great positions, the shield in particular, really enabling Geo to hold this aggressively and deep at that. 25 seconds, Dev. Knights are going to have to really get their skates on and get some kills.
Oh, and that's a big double for Geo. Holding the line is exactly what Wildcard needed, but an excellent entry is met with an excellent response. Geo is going nuts. A 1v1. Sage versus Vinny. He's absolutely nasty. Sage takes Knights to match points.
Oh, that was a bit grim. I really thought Wildcard had that in the bag. Geo went huge with the 3K, and it just felt like Vinny with the spear, you know, really backed him in to win that gunfight, but Sage just too sharp. A beautiful swing, and that is, as you said, Knights moving to match point, 6-1. A 5-1 comeback is always doable. I mean, 6-1 is still doable, but this has to be 5 perfect rounds from Wildcard. Like, there's no negotiation on the table for that anymore. They have to get 5 flawless defense rounds right here.
Yeah, and it's looking pretty grim for them. Very, very scary. A serious performance brought on by the Stage 2 champions of Knights. They missed out on going to the Mexico Major through no fault of their own, but only simply the travel restrictions currently in place. And they are certainly making up for that missed event right now, putting Wildcard back in their place. Knights just looking unstoppable.
Yeah, they're looking really good, and it's a bit sad because like it did feel like Wildcard really started this game off well, and even though they weren't getting rounds on the board, it just felt like that maybe this is starting to be you know, a winnable match for them, and that's significant because we're talking about their opponents being the Knights here. But no, the Knights have just really ran away with it, and they are looking strong as they do. I think that's going to be scary for the rest of the teams in APAC South, probably watching this, anticipating what kind of Knights they're going to see in Stage 3.
One that is ready to rumble would be my guess, because they are absolutely here to play. Good info here for Vinny. Maybe they'll try and make a play. Perhaps a C4. Worried about getting droned. Emo is potentially in a position to look for a peek from Master, but very risky business it would be.
Well, that's still really picking out how exactly they're going to structure this push. It looks like a majority of their team is kind of entering from this south side. Josh by himself down below. That is a fantastic frag grenade from Hayward. He has just been so good in this match and continuing to be just that strong player for Knights.
Yep. And that is his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th opening kill. Milo can find a double. That certainly helps the affair, doesn't it? Suddenly,
does.
Wildcard have the numbers. As I say that, Dino grabs it back and look at the Knights ready to pounce.
Yeah, really good stuff from them, and that has given them now that south side control in through office. The rest of Wildcard players all on site.
bomb located
So
by
he's going to start
attackers.
to set up and get ready to deal with this onslaught. I really like this from Knights. Hayward's going to rotate around to the master side, so it means they're not all just going to be funneling in from the south, which is really tough. There's only a single door into stat and a single door into
bomb has
trophy.
been located.
That's really all you've got. So to split it up means that there's going to be less guns aimed at those doors, and it gives that the Knights a bit more freedom on entry, so to speak.
Good usage of the Roteros does really put Emo under the pump. 3-on-3. A round like this can certainly be dictated by a gunfight won or lost here or there. Unlikely Emo will get the double here if they go for a refrag. Look to swing him. Oh no. Emo disconnects from the server, leaving Wildcard with just Geo and Milo. Milo also, okay, there you go.
Oh.
That's. I think it was an issue with the server rather than an issue with some players. The game is not over, guys. We will get confirmation on what happens there through the admins. While it may look like a 7-1, and it may well be a 7-1 eventually, don't get your horses held up too excited just yet. That's a strange turn of events there, Raven.
It was, yes. Not quite what I was expecting, but